What's up, ComicWow? This is Gigi coming at you from San Diego Comic-Con International 2015, and I'm here with my most exciting interview of the entire weekend. I'm here with Wendy and Richard Pini from Elfquest. Guys, thanks so much for being here. I'm so excited.
Well, Gina, you got to learn to just be more enthusiastic. You know, you're just too low.
You're too mellow. Come on.
For those who know, I am the biggest Elfquest fan. I remember as a child that to this day, my sister Danny can tell you the back of every issue, which character was on it, those gorgeous portraits that were done. I remember crying when One Eye died. So that's what I want to say. Is in the I cut my hair off and laid it on it.
Oh, no, we have a story about that. We got a package from Sweden or someplace, and we opened it up. It was from a fan, and she had cut off like a 4-foot braid and sent it to us.
It was real. It was not fake. It was her hair.
God. Well, that's actually what my first question was going to be like. I feel like Elfquest has such a strong emotional storyline that leads you through to the point where, like, you literally can't wait for the next book because you feel something for each of these characters. What is that like in the midst of not just creation but aftermath with your fans, like seeing that kind of response from them?
Well, that's a tremendous question. I think what kind of sets Elfquest apart from other comics is that we don't tell stories about good versus evil or people beating each other up and who's stronger and that kind of thing. We tell stories about the emotions. We tell stories about love, internal conflict, that kind of, and we manage to carry a plot along that is very character driven. And so the fans get very, very invested in the characters, and everybody has their favorites. And of course, now after 40 some years, we have hundreds of characters. And so they are emotionally attached to each and every one of them, and that means we have to be pretty careful about how we choreograph Elfquest now. Working with all these characters in Final Quest, each one has to have their individual spotlight at the appropriate time.
And we have to be careful about continuity and where they're going and what they're doing and what they have done and what we have planned for them that we can't say a word about, because when a new issue comes out, the fan response on places like Facebook and so on and so forth, they analyze every move, every line that the characters speak and every move they make. It's gobsmacking to us.
I gotta imagine there's a ton of responsibility on that, though, because it's a great compliment when you've created characters that people love in a story, but then at that moment, I mean, the idea, like, what was the backlash like, just like I'd mentioned before, like when One Eye died, like what happened then with the fans? Were they like angry?
That was one of our first major events in Elfquest, is to have a character that was well known and liked killed off, and it's always been our policy, when we kill a character, they stay dead. And so, of course, I wouldn't describe it as a backlash, more as an emotional outpouring. People grieved. They really grieved. They weren't expecting it.
I still feel the emotion to this day when I think about it, and I was so little.
But consider also that was at a time where we got letters in the mail over a period of weeks and months afterwards. Now it's instantaneous, and it's a tidal wave. It's overwhelming. But it lasted a long time back then.
We are on the verge right now. I'm working on the issue right now that I've been waiting 37 years to get to do a reveal of something that we've planted clues to all along, but the fans haven't even begun to get.
I feel like my hands are shaking.
What it is. And it is the most major turning point in the storyline that we've ever done, and I think I'm going to go stay in Hawaii when the issue comes out, like Lucas did for Star Wars. You know, Lucas was scared that Star Wars would fail. I'm just going to go somewhere, you know, and hide, because, you know, this is going to be such a shocker that you know.
Now let's talk a little bit about the Final Quest, which is what you guys are here promoting. Is it really the final, when you hear that title, The Final Quest, I know as a fan your immediate thought is this it? So this is done and then Elfquest ends? Like what does that mean, or is this?
Issue 24 of The Final Quest, very last page, very last panel, giant asteroid comes down, just like the dinosaurs, boom, it's all over.
I hate that story. I I actually was just reading a review recently, even on Amazon for the Final Quest book, I believe, but they were saying Elfquest is a story you just don't want it to end. You don't. And I see other stories, and that's why I get so passionate when I tell people about it that aren't familiar. I'm like, you've got to read this story, like you will connect like nothing you ever have.
Consider, we have already told some stories about the future of this world. Therefore, logically, this cannot be the end of Elfquest.
Yes, but people don't always think logically.
Clearly I wasn't. I was like, oh wait, that actually is a good point. Okay, glad you brought that up.
Here, but let me explain. What Final Quest is the completion of a major story arc that really has been going on since the beginning. And it relates to everything else in the story, but it is a full cycle. It is the full hero's journey.
It's a beautiful story. It's a beautiful concept, and I think that's why the fandom behind it is just everyone takes it so personally into heart. And as the two of you, personally and professionally, do you find that you ever want to put something in the story that's happened between the two of you, like in any way?
We can't help it, and it happens frequently.
From the beginning, Elfquest has had that autobiographical element to it. Whenever we sit down and we hash out a story thing, what maybe happened with us last week or last month or yesterday often informs how a particular scene is going to play out.
Well, and more than that, things that we're concerned about, things that we see happening in the world. Like, can you imagine how astonished we are to have grown up in the 60s with flower power and peace and love and let's end hatred and bigotry and everything. Can you imagine how astonished we are to be living right now and seeing that the world is more polarized than ever, and there's more of that going on now than ever, and because of the internet, it gets out instantly.
Yeah.
But
at the same time, look what the Supreme Court just did.
I know. I mean, it is, as I said, it's polarized. But in my concept of 2015, we would have flying cars, and we would have done away with racial prejudice. We would have done away with homophobia. We would have done away with all that barbaric old stuff.
There definitely seems to be advances more in technology than there is in personality in a lot of ways. But remind everybody now. So for the Final Quest, where they can get more information about it, when it comes out, where they can follow everything for you guys social media.
First of all, it's being published by Dark Horse Comics. And we're very happy with what Dark Horse is doing for us and for Elfquest. They've come out with some beautiful books. Their production values are wonderful. And the Dark Horse has a site, darkhorse.com. Elfquest has a site, elfquest.com. And you go to those two sites, you can literally find out anything and everything you ever wanted to know about Elfquest.
More than you want to know about Elfquest.
There's no such thing as more than you want to know about Elfquest.
We're on Facebook.
Twitter.
We're everywhere these days. Who knew? But
So I did forewarn Richard that I was like, oh, I like to ask fun, like pop culture questions. You told me you guys aren't like big TV people, so I gave you a little lead in a little bit. But one of my questions is I always ask everybody about The Amazing Race, because I think especially when you work together, Wendy's face is like, I was not prepared for this. But The Amazing Race is basically a reality show where people are paired together. Yeah, and they have to go do all kinds of extreme things. So I said, for each of you, if you were on The Amazing Race, which Elfquest character would you pick as your partner?
oh, good heavens! I would probably. It's a toss-up between two. It's either Rayek or Two Edge. Rayek because he's kind of ruthless and he doesn't care who gets in his way, or Two Edge because he just is going to tinker together. He's the MacGyver of Elfquest, and that would be fun to be partnered with.
Good answers. Good answers. What about you, Wendy?
Well, I would pick Mender, Mender the healer, because he's hot. He's also ruthless. And if I trip and fall or anything like that, he can take
he's a healer. Yeah, exactly. How can you go wrong with that? Well, guys, I am just so absolutely beyond excited. Like, is there anything else that you want to let the Elfquest fans know about?
I'm going to ask you a question.
Okay.
Okay? So last time I saw you, you were this high, and you have grown up with Elfquest, and I'm so amazed that you are still so excited about it.
Oh my God, I harass Richard, I think, regularly on Facebook going, when is this movie coming out? And I cannot have it be a live action movie. It needs to be done in like CGI, like Avatar style, because I need those characters look exactly the way that you've drawn them. I've had a crush on Skywise since I was little. I was Lita last year at San Diego Comic-Con, dressed up, and there was a guy here dressed as Cutter, and we missed each other. I'm telling you, it's like, be proud of what you put out there, because I could talk about it all day. Like Mike, he knows. I get so excited everywhere. I'm like, if anybody sees anything Elfquest at any booths, just let me know. Let me know. I need T-shirts. I need this. I need whatever. So, love it. Yeah. But is there anything else you want to put out there for the fans of ComicWow? Like, but just final quest. Get it. Follow.
You just did it.
All right. Well, guys, I can't thank you enough. I've known these people since I was this little, and so it's so exciting to see that it's still ongoing with Elfquest. If you haven't checked this story out, what are you waiting for? It is phenomenal. Get on it right away. And until next time, I'm Gigi. This is Wendy. This is Richard, and you're welcome.